Hi, thanks for tuning in for this episode of the Internet of Things for Utility Networks. Hi, I'm your host, Laura Beth Ezel for HxGN TV, and joining me today is Anthony Skjellum. He is from Auburn University. Anthony is here to discuss with us the Internet of Things, including its role in utility and communication networks. Now, this is something that Anthony has conducted a lot of research on, and so we're going to turn to him to explain, what it means and how this will impact, your business processes in the near future. So, Anthony, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, and good morning, Laura.
Well, first, just tell us a little bit about your role at Auburn University and the work you do there.
I'm the lead cyber scientist for Auburn University, and I work on areas ranging from research, teaching, and outreach associated with cybersecurity and computer forensics. That includes the area of the Internet of Things.
Okay. Explain to our audience, what is meant when we say the Internet of Things?
Well, the Internet of Things is a bunch of connected devices. They have sensors, they have the ability to make things happen in the environment, and they're connected by wireless networks most of the time. They're exploding in numbers, and they're appearing everywhere in industrial settings and in commercial settings and in your home.
Okay. So why is this topic getting so much buzz right now?
Well, there are a number of companies that are creating these devices and spreading them throughout the world. But things like your car and your home appliances are also connected too now, creating an explosion of the number and types of devices and new applications for them.
What would be an example of your car? You were telling me about cars talking to each other. We know your refrigerator can now tell you, when you're not at home, what's in there. Is that what we're talking about?
Those uses may not all survive the test of time, but
Right.
there's some that will. For example, your car telling you that your tires are low, and then telling your service provider that your tires are low and it's time to go get a service is a great example of a kind of Internet of Things. Or cars learning how to avoid each other, or your appliance saying when it's time to call home for a service or maintenance call, actually before it breaks. Those would be more useful examples from a perspective of a consumer. And there are industrial versions of those kinds of ideas too.
So what are some examples of the next wave of technology systems?
Well, imagine that everything is a computer is a good way to think about the Internet of Things. But you won't think of them as little computers anymore. You might think about every wall or surface as being smart, or knowing you're in the room or where you've been, or changing the mood of the room based on your preferences when you enter it. There's all sorts of things that interact you with the computers and devices.
So how do companies make sense of these new technology systems and incorporate them into their workflows?
Well, there are things that affect the buildings, making the buildings smart, friendlier, safer, but also making them more efficient. Same with industrial settings. There are things that are going to be nicer for people and better for the overall operation of the companies and their processes. So companies really have to look at it as an opportunity more than a threat. They're coming no matter what, and they'll be unavoidable as they move forward in everything from lighting to things that really make the systems go. So reading and learning and listening and seeing what their peers are doing would be great ways to get started.
So how exactly is this going to impact, the utilities and communications networks in the future or now?
Well, everything will be smart in some sense, put smart in quotes, but it means there'll be a huge amount of new data about how things are operating, so they could be operated better, safer, more economically, but also there'll be opportunities to know things you can't know now. For example, places where you need to put more capacity or preventive maintenance, as I mentioned earlier. Everything about data about the world you live in, it all will be wired up for data. And then, of course, some of those Internet of Things devices actually will be able to do things like change the temperature or point you in a new or better direction as you're wandering through a complicated maze like the place we're in today.
Well, so how should companies prepare for these new processes and incorporate them into their business?
Well, the first thing to do is to make sure you don't listen to the first person that walks through your door offering you a cool gadget just because it's cool, but really understand what the opportunities are, and those are going to be driven by the economic and other benefits of adoption. It's because they're going to be coming along doesn't mean you have to be the first adopter in every possible instance.
Right.
But certainly if there's a good economic argument made, and their cybersecurity is part of that argument for that matter, it may be worth considering, particularly if that company has been in a related business space for a number of years, and this is really just a major kind of upgrade of how they deliver the service or product to their customer.
And so for any business, and we're talking about utilities communications, it's just to be aware and look for the possibilities, right?
Be aware and look for the possibilities and realize that their company is going to become a lot more about data, and Internet of Things are the sort of the front line of that big data revolution for those companies, whether it's acquiring that data or learning how to take advantage of that data in their operations or their everyday environment.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to share with our audience?
Well, whatever they do, they make sure they pay lots of attention to the fact that the Internet of Things is a good thing, but they have to understand the externalities or problems if those systems that they adopt are not secure, not from reputable suppliers, and they have to understand the long-term life cycle of those kinds of systems.
All right. Well, a big thanks to Anthony for sharing his expertise in this area, such a hot topic. And for more information about today's discussion, you can visit www.hexagonsafetyinfrastructure.com. And to watch additional episodes and to learn more, visit HxGNTV.com. Thanks for tuning in.